Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by Charles Pillow, saxophonist, woodwind doubler, composer, arranger, and saxophone professor at the Eastman School of Music. Charles is here to show us how to use existing material to inspire intros, transitions, and development.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me. And we're going to be talking about some music, some arrangements I've done from my latest project, Electric Miles 2, ways to use material from the melody or bass lines to create interludes and introductions, etc. So Dan, you can pull up the first slide. So this is from a recording Miles did. We're looking at the bass line, and there wasn't much of the tune to begin with, and what I did was fashion a answer to this bass line. This looks like C 7-ish and maybe B flat 7-ish. So you can bring up the next slide, Dan. So I brought up here this first part. The horns kind of answer on the last 16th note of the first beat and the last 16th note of the third beat. So that kind of becomes a little bit of a hook. So here we've got the woodwinds doing it with the piccolo and very thin orchestration there. Okay, so the next slide. Similar idea. I believe this is also some woodwinds and some French horns, but I've elongated it, but it's basically the same thing. So here became a short interlude, which also became the ending of the tune, where the bass line drops out and all we have left are the hits, just the kicks on the last 16th note. So something, a very, very simple idea, but I tried to just keep that moving throughout the piece. The second thing we're going to look at is a tune also by Miles called Great Expectations. What we heard there was a simple melody. Basically, the first three notes are sort of a C sharp minor sound, and then the second is a C minor sound. So C, D, and E flat, C sharp, D sharp, and E, and it's played by the flute, soprano, bass, clarinet, and muted trumpet over sort of a 70s bass line. So if we can go to the second slide, that becomes the basis for the rest of the tune. Introductions, background, some brass tutti, etc. I'd hope that you'd recognize that the backgrounds were the same as the melody, sort of trying to arrange the woodwinds in my Gil Evans-ish sort of clashy, crunchy, chromatic rubs. So I don't know if the listener recognizes that, but I think that's the whole reason to do these things where melody becomes background, becomes transition, becomes introduction, becomes ending. So that was the idea there. Similar motives, and you know, this music didn't have a whole lot of content, and in terms of melodic material. So I wanted to get as much out of it as I could, and instead of a big shout section, that is kind of the beginning of I'm just calling it transition, and it has the same, 1, 2, 3 type melodic structure. So like G minor, and then went to D minor, but the similar ideas. And that actually is really influenced by, if anybody's familiar with, Paulie Danielson did a recording that featured Miles Davis called Aura. And he had a shout section that was kind of like that. So I wanted this really thick, dissonant, non-jazz, no rhythm section as far as playing any tempo. So that kind of had the same answer. And the second phrase, I added another pitch, not just the 3 notes, but now there was 4 notes. So, okay, Dan, so you can play the next one with the trombone section doing a similar thing. That's my continual development of that same idea. 3 pitches in different keys, kind of close harmonically to each other, but different enough to create some kind of forward momentum. Okay, so this is the bass line to a tune that Miles had written called Willie Nelson, also featured on my new release, Electric Miles 2. This is primarily the only melodic material from the tune. There's a staccato melody that we'll look at in a minute, but everything is kind of based on this bass line. Harmonically, it was C minor. It looks a little bit like E flat, but it's C minor in terms of the chord progression. So believe it or not, that's the bass line sort of orchestrated with a little bit of license, I think, to sort of stretch things out, but it's primarily that same motive. Just tried to create an intro using the material, but not sure if it's completely clear where it came from, but technically it is. This was the only melodic material that we have really to work with. So these staccato 16ths. So on the original recording, Benny Maupin played bass clarinet and Miles was playing trumpet, and that was repeated, as you can imagine, 1970. They played that many times in many different ways. So here I just had it voiced out for the trumpets. Later on, the entire band has it. And this is pure speculation on my part, but reading about this Miles project, the original recordings rather, Benny Maupin tells the story of when Chameleon came out with Herbie Hancock's band. He was kind of in charge of creating a melody, and it's interesting that staccato melody sounds similar to what Chameleon became, but that's just my speculation. We had these 16th note staccato things going on, and I think in almost every beat of the measure, and there was an idea just to create more interest, more development, and the ending sounds like the material from the melody, hopefully. So I feel like the 16th staccatos and the bass line just kind of form the whole tune. Kind of a ricochet effect is what I was going for. So in summation, the idea is just to grab as much material source material from your melodies, your bass lines, backgrounds, etc., to create more interest, to keep the listener involved, and to hopefully unify your project.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.